It's not something that's gifted to you, right? Freedom is something that you take from someone or demand from someone.
I see two conflicts, two issues of conflict. I see a group of people within a culture that are conflicted with themselves and who they are and how they move amongst the rest of society. And then I see the conflict of society as it poses its images of who we are as African Americans, and that conflict makes it even harder because, it's just like this struggle that never ends.
The word that comes to mind, it's not a word, it's a phrase, dark fantasy. What Carol Walker does is she takes these sometimes sacred scenes or what we deem to be peaceful scenes from, antebellum South, right? The pictures of the mansions and the plantations. She shows them from the depiction of the slave. The stories that she puts together they're very mythical, but at the same time extremely violent and horrific, and some of it is disturbing. I'm a huge fan, but at the same time, when I'm looking at her work, I have to sort of keep it at arm's length. What's interesting about Juneteenth, right? We're celebrating a holiday where historically Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves, right?
There's on one end, this excitement to be able to celebrate, my people, the ending of slavery and all of those things. And then at the same time, there's this conflict with me as to why am I celebrating this? Why am I celebrating the fact that my people didn't know that they weren't slaves for 2 years, and somebody came along and said, hey, you're not slaves no more, by the way.
So in reality, we're not so much celebrating our freedom as we're celebrating his magnanimous feat of freeing us. This particular piece in her work, it shows freedom in a different light. So she takes these narratives, and especially in this book, where she takes these scenes, these traditional Southern antebellum scenes, and she repurposed them with her story, our story.
What I've realized over the course of just even this last year is that I was raised in a world where Juneteenth was mentioned, but it was mentioned like, hey, check out this little interesting thing that happens once a year. You might see something on the news, there might be a little blurb here and there, but it was never treated like something I should participate in, right? And when I realized that not only could I, but that I should celebrate and get involved, to me it just made it all more apparent that I needed to. The word that I chose was actualness, just really talking about being real and representing something that isn't being embellished or enhanced, it's just something real.
Juneteenth, for me, represents triumph and adversity. So we were empowered to gain our freedom, but at the same time, we still are struggling as African Americans in America. The word that connected for me was tension. In talking about Catlett's work, is that she has a lot of political messages with her work, as I do mine, and also the strong point she takes in the activist role as well, in really handling and embracing community, especially women of the community.
Resilience, because Black people have always been resilient, and with Kennedy Wiley's piece painting Black people in a regal manner while not erasing how we are, it celebrated Black culture in my eyes, our fashion, just us being us in our own unique way.
What would it be? Just historic, I guess. Both of the pieces that I chose, they contribute to time in a certain way. They're both about capturing the Black experience. So for these pieces, taken, a little over 20 years apart, they just have, a certain energy and a certain struggle behind them.
The word that connects my pieces are visibility or clarity. They're pieces that are very vulnerable, in a way, not as in regards to like weakness, but, showing your vulnerability, as a strength. This piece here is one of the only pieces in the museum that you can see from the inside and the outside. And to engage, we have to allow for vulnerability. We have to be able to see in, people have to be able to see out. Juneteenth is a very political thing. And it's talking about not only, America as a place, but America in relation to the people in the country, our bodies, what our bodies represent when we inhabit a space.
For a long time, the community has not felt really a part of the Toledo Museum of Art. And I grew up here, right over in the Old West End area, from, say, Hollywood all the way to Parkwood. That's what I grew up in, where we all knew each other. And now that it's changed, it's really not community any longer, and things are very segmented. So I think this gives the museum an opportunity to really extend an arm out into the community, to have them a part of the conversation.
The Toledo Black Artists Coalition was born out of protest, and that was due to the statements by Adam Levine and placing the museum as being neutral, not necessarily having a voice politically of what was currently happening specifically to Black bodies, Black people. And the building itself being surrounded by a neighborhood that's predominantly African American.
We started out, I believe, in a really good space of everybody being safe, not to offend and not to be aggressive and all those things, and to get our points across and to get to a common ground of understanding of what both organizations can do to support this Toledo community and, the community at large.
TMA can help Black artists express themselves by giving them an outlet, giving them resources, and really showing them, representation. Representation is key, and showing them that there are different things you can do.
There's a moment in time where recently it feels like things have shifted in a very genuine way, and it feels like the museum is very thoughtfully thinking about how it can engage with the neighborhood that it exists in and the neighborhoods that surround just this campus. I'm just super excited to see this continue and for there to be a seat at the table for Black artists in the city, because I think they're an important and valuable voice, and they're as much a part of the community as I am, and I've been given a seat at the table for way too long.
This collective consists of people who aren't, museum employees, and they don't look like your typical, curator or whatever. They look like everyday folks. The relatability to that is powerful. This collaboration will allow for more people to see that they do belong here and that they can come here and experience things that they may feel is out of reach.
As a group of artists of color, we're able to say, this is what it is for us. This is what we would like to see for our community where art is concerned. These are the opportunities that need to be at hand. Like having that voice, and not that we speak for everyone, but to have that general conversation that sparks TMA to really take notice and make some decisions and look at some things from a wider perspective.
And I think where it's moving is a place of partnership and trying to get to a place of understanding through the practice of art and community engagement.